Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. For you guys that are out there, this is, of course, my first Cinch Jeans um, chat, I guess you would say. For many of you that have actually, followed my career, maybe may already know that I've done plenty of these things. We used to do a regular uh, podcast on a Tuesday night. Today's Monday, Tuesday night. Yeah, so different night, but still the same thing. This is my first time on Google Hangouts and of course on YouTube. So um, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to doing, a little different format. So I'm having a lot of fun already trying to work this new stuff out. I am a little bit of a computer geek, I guess you would say. I taught myself to do a lot of this stuff. Had a lot of fun with the podcast. Of course, I knew somewhere along the line it may help me with, speaking in front of the camera, part of the job, I guess, as a professional bull rider, that, I needed to be able to do that. So, but again, thank you to you guys that are already there. Send your questions in. Of course, you can send them to Ask Team Cinch on Facebook, Twitter, of course, and you can also just put them down underneath on YouTube, and of course you can email them and all that good stuff as well. So we're going to do our best in the next, I guess, hour to be able to answer most of the questions that you guys may have. I'm going to try my hardest to follow along. Of course, we've got a front end and a back end of this thing, a little bit of jargon here. We've got Brittany's in Colorado, and I'm here in California. By the way, in California here, you can't see, I've got the blinds closed behind me here, but it did actually start sprinkling rain here in California, which is a huge thing for us because we haven't had much rain here. And in the last, I don't think anyone in California remembers the last time that it rained, but it's definitely nice to see it cool off a little bit and actually start raining. So hopefully we can get a lot more of it. So like I said, I'm going to try and follow along here to any questions that you guys may have or whatever. But there's a lot of different ways of being able to do it. Of course, on Cinch and on Cinch's Facebook and their Twitter, and of course you can probably send them to me too if you want to, at Brendon Clark on Twitter, and of course Brendon Clark PBR on Facebook. But for those of you that don't know very much about bull riding or professional bull riding, that is where I used to hang out a lot as a bull rider for the last, well, I suppose it's been 11 or 12 years. I retired at the end of last year, and now have moved into doing more behind the scenes stuff. I do a great program with Ford and which is called Good Works, Ford Good Works. So some of you that watch the PBR may have seen that and may enjoy seeing them. It's a lot of fun going and doing them. So although you don't see me riding anymore on the PBR telecasts, I've still got lots of stuff going on. Of course, still have my signature bull riding in Australia, the Brendon Clark Invitational with PBR Australia. So that's another exciting thing. That we really enjoy doing. For me, that's just, a little way of giving back to the little community close to where I suppose it's not such a small community, it's a pretty big place, Newcastle, where we actually run the bull riding, but the PBR, but we, bring a lot of people from around, the area, a few hours drive to go to the event. So it's fun to be able to bring bull riding back to the people that a lot of the people, especially professional bull riding, back to the people that watch my career unfold and have followed it all the way through. So we have that every year in Australia, and of course, for those of you that have obviously continued to follow, I now have, for the last probably most of my life, I've enjoyed riding horses and roping and different things like that, and I've always kind of liked learning how to train horses and stuff. So obviously with me riding bulls as a career, I had a lot of time and a lot of chances to meet a lot of great other horse trainers that are out there in different disciplines. I really like the reined cow horse and the reining. So I spent a lot of time with another through Cinch Jeans was a good friend of mine now, Bob Avila, who has been one of the longest running Cinch Jeans endorsees. So we kind of became friends, and he took me I guess you'd say underneath his wing a little bit there, and showed me a lot of stuff. So I've been really enjoying training some horses and doing some stuff like that. So that's usually what I spend most of my days doing. I've got a little fella now. I got a little boy. We had a little boy in February, so he's 8 months old now, a little bit over, and we've had to take him out of the house right now because he will just not stop banging on the door because he likes to hang out with Daddy, and he doesn't really leave us alone very much. So he's very vocal and very active now, so it's a lot of fun, and we're really enjoying, obviously, him and the time with him. That's kind of what I spend most of my time doing now that I haven't been riding bulls. So it's good. It gives me a lot of time to spend with him. So having a chance to have a career that has allowed me to spend a lot of time at home has actually been a bit of a blessing, I guess you would say. So Kaysen, our little boy Kaysen, he spends most of his time with me. My wife, she works, and Kaysen gets a chance to hang out with his daddy most of the time. So it's fun to be able to have him around with me and be able to do what I like doing, and that's train some horses and obviously travel a little bit. We're getting ready to leave tomorrow to go to the PBR World Finals in Las Vegas. So it's fun to be able to show or have my boy grow up with me and be able to kind of see a little bit about what I've done and what I am doing now. So so if you guys are, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them. I mean, I suppose I'm probably answering a lot of stuff here, but I actually have just got a text message from Brittany on the other end saying that we had a lost connection, but everything's all good now. So if you guys can't hear me, then let us know. But so back to obviously some of you fans of the Western lifestyle, being fans of Cinch Jeans. A little bit of background about me and the company, Rocky Mountain Clothing Company. I actually have been a user of the product for a long time now, but we've been involved as an endorsee kind of athlete kind of partnership now for about 11 years, 10 or 11 years. So it's been a long time now. I've actually, Cinch has been my longest running sponsor or supporter, I guess you would say, partner. And we, obviously they've been there through a lot of good and bad stuff. So it's actually a privilege to be able to be here and be part of this chat. It's a great idea that they've been doing, and of course, as the weeks go on and months go on, there's going to be more and more chances, for more endorsees, Cinch endorsees to, be on. I'm sure if you guys have your favorites, I know I have my favorite, of other guys in other disciplines, not only rodeo, but of course in the horse training world. So for me to be able to sit here and see a little bit about them, then that's obviously, a lot of fun. So I had a question sent through that asking what the biggest difference between rodeos in the US and Australia are. Well, the biggest difference, number one, is the money and how much access you have to, making a living out of it. In Australia, our country, just for instance, our country only has about 26 million people total in it. Well, if you come to the United States, there's about that many people or more that live in California alone. And, well, it's very hard for Australia to have the funds and be able to put, a big rodeo, association with, and not only with that many people. Of course, the sport's a lot smaller over there, but the biggest thing would obviously be, being able to make a living out of it. As an Australian in the rodeo world, you don't have much chances. I'm talking about bronc riders and, of course, time event people, bareback riders. As a bull rider, you have a chance now with the PBR to make a living, and of course our events in Australia, our PBR events in Australia, are allowing some of the bull riders to make a living out of riding bulls. But as a rodeo competitor, like I used to be, if you want to make a living out of it, you have to come to the United States and ride in the PRCA. Obviously, over the years, a lot of different rough stock riders have made the NFR and have rodeoed over here. Bareback riders like Darren Clark and, of course, Glenn O'Neill, different guys like that have made the NFR and have represented our country very well. But the biggest difference would probably be that, it's a little harder to make a living. The bulls now are getting as good as, we've got over here, just as not as many of them. We've got time event guys over there that are, that can mix it with anybody over here as well. We've got guys like Luke Branquino. They go over there, put schools on, different in the steer wrestling. So lots of great athletes over here, rodeo athletes over here, have gone over to share their skills and put schools on in Australia, which have allowed the competition to get a lot better and people to learn something and have a chance of maybe coming over here to the United States. So, hopefully that answers your question. I mean, as you would obviously know, there's been many, great rodeo cowboys come through from Australia to the United States and not only ride in the PBR, but the PRCA as well. So, and from what I've seen, going back and forth, I get to go back 4 times a year. There's going to be a lot more too. There's definitely some handy young cowboys coming up through the ranks over there in Australia, so you have to keep your eye out for them. I'm actually had a chance, I mentioned a little bit earlier, that I have kind of moved in and started doing some training horses, and I kind of deal a lot in problem horses and starting colts and things like that. So I've like I said, been lucky enough to learn from some of the best horse trainers in the world. In a couple of weeks, I'm getting to go back to Australia, which I'm pretty excited about, and compete in a colt starting competition called the Unique Horseman. So it's a challenge basically where they put three people in round pens, obviously with colts, and you've got 2 hours a day over 3 days to start a colt. So yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting for me. That's my kind of first bigger competition in that kind of world. I mean, that's something that I've always done because I love the horse, and I love to see a horse go in a certain direction. But to be able to do it in front of people and to be able to show what I've learnt to obviously people in Australia, that's pretty exciting for me. Another question: what is a walkabout? Well, a walkabout is something that an Aboriginal term, I guess you would say, is when they used to go out into the bush and go walkabout, and not come back for a while. So basically, if someone's gone walkabout, you might not have seen them for a few days or maybe weeks on end, and that's kind of like where that comes from. So it's every once in a while, most people go on a walkabout and you don't know where they've gone. So that's pretty much what it is. So speaking of walkabouts, there'll be lots of walking going on. That's what I'm going to be doing. It does remind me that I am going to be going to Las Vegas tomorrow. And of course, for any of you people that have been out there, when you go to Las Vegas, it involves a lot of walking. On many occasions, especially if you want to get anywhere. You can look, for those of you that haven't been lucky enough to go to Las Vegas, when you look out your hotel window, you might be able to see another hotel which looks reasonably close. I mean, it may look like it may take 5 minutes to walk there. But when you actually walk out of your hotel and head towards where you want to go, oftentimes you'll find out that it is much further than what it actually is. So the question was, what was the scariest moment that I've had in my bull riding career? Well, I was talking about the one time, basically, it was the worst wreck I've ever had in my career. Was in Omaha, Nebraska, at the PBR event there. Had a bull called Black Smoke jump on me in the chest and stomach, and ended up spending 4 or 5 days in intensive care. And it was a little bit scary in the start because I remember little parts of it. I was blacking in and out, but most of the things I don't really remember. But I remember not being able to, I not be able to breathe, and it was hard for me to breathe, and which for obvious reasons, lacerated liver and bruised lungs and things like this. That's what's going to happen. Some broken ribs, but. Yeah, that was by far the scariest. I know, and not only for me, but for everyone else that was around me, family and friends. And it's definitely something that is always going to be there during my career, and a lot of people will remember that. But it's something that I never would really wish on anybody. It's part of the game, I know, but it's the part that we all really don't really want to go through. So that was definitely by far. The scariest. I've been in lots of different wrecks, hung up and run over, and bulls flip over in the chute, and buck in the chute, and upside down in the chute, and different things like that. But definitely that was the scariest. And I think any bull rider that would have an injury like that would probably agree that would be close to them. I mean, I've seen lots of different. Lots of different injuries over my career, but not a lot of them. You see a lot of people get almost jumped on or jumped on by one back foot, and you don't really see too many of them. I think maybe 1 or 2 other times I've seen in my PBR career, and of course I don't rodeo and go to PRCA rodeos, but in the PBR, you don't see too many of them. So I guess I was unlucky that day, but it all ended up okay. So. We're all happy about that. Another question from Corbin Weber is asking what the biggest difference, how much difference is there from the bulls in Australia and the USA? Well, the bulls, I will start by saying that the bulls in Australia have improved so much over the last, even probably 5 years, that it's amazing, how much better they've got, and the reason that being. That's like that is because of the genetics that we have here in the United States. We have now got in Australia as well. Like there's different bulls like Little Yellow Jacket, I'm a Gangster, just to name 2. There's lots of different bulls that have been quarantined and now available for to be able to be bred to cows in Australia. So the bulls have got so much better. But what I will say is that because we don't have as big access to the bulls and the cows. The bulls, we do have some very good bulls in Australia nowadays, but we don't have as big a number of them. It's still reasonably hard for us to put a PBR event on with needing 60 odd bulls to be able to get 60, obviously 10 short round bulls and 50 long round bulls to be pretty even. I mean, we still will see a lower end on them, but they're definitely improving. I mean, we've got lots of bulls you can be 90 points on in Australia, and but the biggest difference in the bulls there and here, they're a lot meaner in Australia. They're kind of, bulls tend to hook a little more and have a little bit of fun out there, but the biggest difference would be that there's not as big a number of them, of the good ones, and let's just face it, when the very best bull riders in the world are getting on, good bulls every single day, the good bulls learn to be better, they learn to be smart. It's just like the bull riders. When the bulls are better, the riders are better, and when the riders are better, the bulls have to get better. So but there's definitely a big improvement, and there's going to be more and more bulls in Australia that are going to continue to improve. Okay, running down the chat group now. If I had to switch hands and go to the time event side, which event would I choose? I would say, although I'm an avid team roper, I do rope a lot. I've roped for a long time, but I would have to say that I would be a calf roper. When I was growing up in Australia, I roped calves, and team roped, and rode bulls and bareback horses, and I would have to say that when I was growing up, I wanted to be like Cody Ohl. Like Cody Ohl was in the calf rope, and I always tried to pick somebody I wanted to be like in each event, just to try and be better and copy what they did, and try and that was my way. Obviously, without access to back then having access to these people, although because of I've been lucky enough to come to the United States and ride bulls professionally, I've got to meet people that I grew up idolizing, like Cody Ohl, and of course now is the fellow Cinch endorsee. So Cody was who I probably wanted to be like the most, and I roped calves a lot growing up, but over the last 10 or 12 years being here in the United States, I don't get to rope calves as much. But earlier on this year, I cracked out I have a 6-year-old mare that's a rein cow horse mare. I show her in the reining as well. I can do pretty much everything on her. I've picked up broncs on her. I've roped bulls on her. I've branded on her. I pretty much head and heel steers, and I cracked her out in the calf rope, and I'd never roped calves on her before, and cracked her out at a local rodeo here, and ended up winning second at the event. Of course, it was just a local rodeo, but she worked really good, and it was fun again. So for me, I would have to say that if I was going to try and be good at something, or a rodeo, or go down the road, if I had a chance, I would probably say I'd be a calf roper. But we all know how good guys like Cody Ohl, Fred Whitfield, Tyson Durfee, all them guys, all of the calf ropers, we all know how good they are. So there's not much chance you'll see me at the NFR anytime soon. That was a good question, though. I like that one. Jeff Lee Rodeo. Jeff, how's it going? Thanks for being on here. I appreciate it. How's the transition from rider to commentator changed my view of the sport? And that's another good question, because for those of you that watched before we got broken away from the live chat, I did talk a little bit about now that I'm in a different side of the sport of bull riding, and of course rodeo, and I've done some commentary stuff in the rein cow horse as well. The biggest difference, it's hard for me because being a rider and knowing what my buddies who are my friends that's who I'm talking about, knowing what they're going through, being there, just last year, through the good and the bad, it's very hard for me to kind of be, negative about what's going on. We all know that the sport's so hard now, with the bulls being as good as they are, and being the season being as long as it is, and injuries that you can get in the sport of bull riding, it's very hard for me to not keep that out of my mind and talk about what I'm actually really seeing. The good thing about me, and what I love about coming from being a bull rider into transitioning into being a commentator, is I have an insight into what some of these guys are doing. I'm still friends with most of the bull riders nowadays. Of course, there's some younger guys that have come in this year that I didn't ride with, but have got to know. Knowing a little bit of an inside of these guys and their life and what they do at home and what they like to do is kind of easier for me to kind of talk about. It was fun getting to actually do my first Built for Tough Series event job this year on CBS Sports at Laughlin, because it was kind of a fun event outdoors. We only have a couple of them this, in the Built for Tough Series in the PBR. So being in Laughlin, last time I was there, I had a lot of success there. So it was kind of a few different stories. I remember LJ Jenkins was when LJ Jenkins first come around. He was he'd rode a bull that most of you guys that have followed the sport of bull riding and rodeo for a long time. A bull called Reindeer from Flying U Rodeo. He rode that bull back then at Laughlin, and of course no one ever rode him then. So there's lots of stories there. So it was fun for me to be able to share some of that stuff, and I look forward to being able to do more of them. But to answer your question, Jeff, the hardest thing for me is to just to even say anything bad about them, because I know what a lot of these guys are going through, and I know it's not easy, and they've if it was easy, a lot more people would do it. But it'd be the pot calling the kettle black, I suppose, if it was me saying I was any better than they were, because if I was, I'd probably still be there. But it's definitely something I'm enjoying, and hope everybody else is as well. Another question is, will I encourage my son to be a bull rider? That is a negative. That is definitely something I will not do. I won't be encouraging him at all to be a bull rider, and for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I've been told for a long, long time, by a lot of other people, that until you have a child, you don't really understand, what it's like, when they're in, I suppose, in danger. Not that we've been lucky, ours hasn't been in danger, but falling down and doing different things. I know what the sport of bull riding is like, and I guess I done it in an era. I suppose the era is just finished. I mean, for the last 20 years of my life, I suppose I've ridden bulls, and I understand how much better it's got in that last 20 years and how dangerous it is, and it's only going to get better. The bulls are going to get better. It's going to become, which means it's going to become more dangerous. And I don't know. I mean, you know what? If he wants to do it, he's going to have. I might not be a very good teacher, but I know someone that might be able to teach him pretty well. So I'm lucky that way. So if that's what he wants to do, he's going to learn from the best there is. But I definitely won't be pushing him to do it, and hopefully he doesn't really want to do it. But I don't think 34 years ago, if you'd asked my mum and dad what I was going to do for a living, the last thing they would have thought of was me, being a bull rider. So, I know now what I put them through for so long. So, I mean, I don't know if I know my wife can't handle it, so I don't know if I can either. I don't mind seeing him fall down and cry, but riding bulls is a lot different than that. But again, another good question. Thank you. That's a good one. The next question is it's a two-part question. I suppose I'm going to answer it in two different parts, but it says, if I came out of retirement for riding, what bull would you want to climb on first? And it may be a bull that I have unfinished business with. Well, for starters, let's get something straight. I will never come out of retirement in the bull riding. So we don't have to worry about that anytime soon or anytime in the future, because I feel like I've done everything I wanted to do in the sport. There was several things that I would have liked to have done. Of course, winning a world title would have been one of them, but it was totally out of the question where I was at in my career. So I'm happy with what I've done, and I have no ambition to get on a bull ever again. I mean, for me, bull riding was all in or all out, and I'm not willing to be all in, so I'm obviously I'm all out. But there's not really a bull. There's not really a bull that I have unfinished business with. I guess you would say I would have liked to have had another crack at Bushwhacker. I felt like when I got on him, I was riding as good as I had been in a couple of years, and he was probably the best, if not one of the best trips he's ever had. And I wasn't quite good enough that day, but I knew from that day that I felt like I could ride him, and if I had another chance at him, but never did. So, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but that would have been another good one to get on him for sure one more time. I had a little run-in with a bull called Charlie Bulware, who is Bushwhacker's running mate, 2 years in a row at the PBR World Finals, and apparently he got me at 7-9 both times, apparently. So that turned into a not so big payday that was going to be. So it would have been good to get another chance at him, just to show everyone that wasn't really 7-9. But I don't know. I mean, really for me in bull riding, I'd been on plenty of bulls. All the ones I'd been on and had success on, good, and the ones I didn't, well, I missed out. So, I'm happy with what I got to achieve, and I'm happy with the chance of getting on all the bulls that I got on. That was, I've been lucky enough to say that I've been on some of the rankest bulls in the world, and some of them I've been lucky enough to ride. So, for the full 8 seconds. So, hopefully, I always tell people if you want to see me ride a bull, you can just look on YouTube because there's plenty of videos on there. So it won't happen in real life again, ever, I hope. This is a question, I'm not too sure if I know how to. Do I have a spirit animal? I don't know, a spirit animal. Maybe, I don't know, a horse? I don't know. I really don't know what a spirit animal is, to be honest with you. So let's just hope that's, I don't know. Yeah, I can't answer that question because I'm not too sure what a spirit animal is, but I could make up what I think it is. A spirit animal. A kangaroo, maybe. I don't know. So, but those last 3 questions are actually really good ones too. So I need to thank you guys for that. It makes things a lot easier when you ask questions like that. Another good one, go-to food on the road. Of course, anyone who's ever traveled anywhere, you don't have to be a professional athlete, but anyone that's ever traveled anywhere would understand that it's very difficult sometimes to eat good or eat something that's actually healthy, if you like to eat healthy. But it's tough to eat good food on the road. But I would never really say no to going to a steakhouse or somewhere like that, even if it was like, I know it sounds cliche, but Outback Steakhouse would be, obviously sometimes you don't have another real good steakhouse close by. But and I like to eat anything really. I mean, steak is probably what I like, but I also like sushi, which is totally on the other side of the. Well, it's not really on the other side of the spectrum, but yeah. I mean, it was pretty easy. I mean, sometimes you got to just live with McDonald's, and sometimes you don't. But I suppose if I was traveling, I'd spend a little fair bit of time Starbucks as decent sandwiches. Starbucks or Subway, they're always a pretty good one to go to if you don't have much else of a choice. At least when I was trying to be healthy, I used to tell myself Subway was healthy. So put it that way. But that's a difficult one. Best funny rodeo story. I'm going to say, story. Best funny rodeo story. Well, there's been lots of them. I'm not much of a comedian, so and I'm not a great storyteller. Well, I guess I can tell a story, but it doesn't have to make sense. But anything that involves Luke Snyder was pretty much funny at all times. He had a way of being, and still does. He's pretty witty and comes out with a lot of funny stuff. So rooming with him for I'd say 10 or 11 years. Some of the stuff probably can't be repeated, but well, at least I could, but I'd have to ask him first. But lots of funny stuff there. Of course, I was pretty good at making a fool out of myself, so I don't know. Funny rodeo stories is hard, or bull riding stories. Maybe what I found funny and what you guys do is probably a totally different thing, but I'd have to say anything Luke Snyder does. Looking at Luke Snyder is probably is a funny story, to me. Just makes me laugh. So anyway, just to recap, I'm sorry again for the cutoff here. This is, although some of you guys that may be watching on here know that I have done in the past 3 or 4 years probably a podcast on my own, but not really familiar with Google Plus, so we had a little bit of trouble. That's why we had some trouble with it. I wasn't real familiar with this format, so sorry again for the cutting out, and but we got it resolved, and for you guys that hung around, we really appreciate it. And like I said before, I'm sure if this is a big enough hit, this is obviously the second, I think, second or third one of these Cinch has done, and of course they're going to do more, I know. There is several people, I know a lot of people are probably wanting to get guys like Cody Ole and Fred Whitfield, guys like this. There's lots of your favorite rodeo athletes that'll be on here, so that's going to be pretty cool. Another question just come in, best piece of advice to a young bull rider. Advice can come in all different ways, but I was obviously told, and I learned all the way along, and my parents, obviously gave me a chance to do whatever I wanted to do, but all I had to do was just give it everything that I had. So, like I said, advice comes in lots of different ways. I mean, I didn't want to. I got advice from a guy that I used to work with in Australia. I was about probably 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, and we were talking one day. We worked on the city actually, and we were just sitting around talking. Which I know for you people that are we call it the council in Australia, but for you people that know what goes on with city workers, you'll understand that there's a fair bit of sitting around goes on. So we're sitting around talking, and I mentioned that I wanted to, give it a shot going to Australia, back to the United States from Australia to, ride bulls in the PBR. And a guy that I wouldn't have, obviously thought it would give me any advice or give me good advice, said, well, you don't want to be 28 years old and sitting here still working with us. You at least got to go and give it a shot. Well, I mean, that was pretty good advice, because that pretty much means you got to at least just go for it. I mean, worst case scenario, it doesn't work. So you basically, if you're willing to work hard and you've got a vision in where you want to go, and no doubt that you want to make it there, and through good and bad you'll make it. So you can never really give up. I mean, bull riding or rodeo in itself in general, life for that matter, is not that easy. I mean, there's always going to be things that make you question yourself and question what you're doing, and but if you always tell yourself what you what you want to do, and just keep following that dream. I've got I used to, obviously when I was riding, and I still use it a little bit, but I used used to hashtag a lot and stuff, and I feel like for me, I always knew where I wanted to go and how far I wanted to go and what goals I had set. I mean, there's goals that I set at the start of my career that I knew that I couldn't get to them until the end of my career, but that was something that always gave me a vision and a way that I wanted to go. And for me, I always used a hashtag eye on the prize, because basically for me, it doesn't matter whether for when you're a young guy, it doesn't necessarily mean the prize would be money, or the prize is doing a certain thing. I mean, if there's something, that keeps you, like for me, my prize was, making the PBR World Finals, and making $1 million in the sport of bull riding, and making the PBR World Finals 10 times. I mean, all of these things were kind of things that were at the end of my career, but you always got to keep your eye on the prize, and the prize, whatever your goal is, that can be your prize. And like I say, it's something you just got to keep a vision and go for it. And you don't want to ever question yourself and wonder if I could have made it, because by the time you ask that question to yourself, it's probably too late. My favorite pair of Cinch jeans. Well, my always go-to, and I think I'll always say my favorite pair of Cinch jeans would be Black Labels, because you can never really go wrong with a pair of Black Labels, no matter where you're going, whether you need to be dressed up or you just want to wear them around. So I would have to say that would be the go-to, although I don't wear them every single day. And of course now, 10 years ago when I first started with Cinch, we didn't have as big a variety of jeans come in now. So then what's in now? I mean, there's so many to choose from, and Doesn't matter whether you're big or small, and chubby like me or skinny like a bronc rider, you can always find a pair of cinch jeans that you like. So, but I'd have to say that I'd probably always go to a black label. When I can't make up my mind what sort of jeans I want to wear, I will go, okay, I'll wear black labels because it makes it easy. And shirts, do I like prints or solids? Well, I have both. I'm wearing, I guess this is a print now, or I guess every single day. So every day I wear jeans, cinch jeans and cinch shirt. I know it's probably cliche because we're here on a cinch chat, but I mean, every day riding horses, training horses, doesn't matter whether I'm going to town to do something or I'm traveling, I'm always probably dressed like I am now. I wore a t-shirt the other day, and I was trying to remember the time before that, how long ago it was since I'd worn a t-shirt, because I don't get to wear them very much. So, but I think if you want to look sharp, solid shirts are probably that's what you want to go for with solid shirts. So, I will probably wear, if I was going to go, say, to a something like a something that was quite formal, I would obviously probably wear a solid shirt with a sports coat. So there. Okay, we're at 57 minutes. This has been a long one, and thanks for you guys hanging in there. The last question that I'm going to answer, and again, it's been great to answer all of these questions, but the last one is, to me, Cinch's slogan is lead, don't follow. And for me, what does that mean? What does lead, don't follow mean? Well, I think I answered a little bit of that earlier in the question before on what advice I could give to a young bull rider. But for me, lead, don't follow means set an example. I mean, be out in front, be a winner, be the person other people want to be like. Set a good example for younger people. All of these things is being a leader, so everyone else would want to be drawn to you and follow you. So that's probably what it means to me. I mean, it's something that I personally have tried to live my life on a daily basis. Like, it doesn't matter whether I was a bull rider and whether I was training for that, or whether I was on TV talking about that, or now on days like today, training horses. Doing that in a way where people want to follow the way that you do it, and they like the way that your horses look and the way that they perform. That's kind of what lead, don't follow means for me. So, it's obviously something that it's not very hard to live by. You want to have people that are, proud to be like you and want to be like you. So, obviously, the company slogan's a good one. Okay. Which type of venue is more exciting, the outdoor fair type or indoor? Okay, we did say the last one was the last question, but this is a good one. Since I spent a lot of my career in the PBR, 10 or 12 years nearly, 11 years, riding majorly, like I would say I was probably indoors 80% of the time, so in a big building. So I had more of a obviously a look at that type of things. But there is something about being outdoors at a rodeo or a county fair competing that was usually we here in the United States, obviously. In the summertime here, that's where we get to go to things like that. So, for me, one of the best times that I have is at our local rodeo here in where we live here on the Central Coast of California, because it's summertime, it's outdoors, lots of different rodeo events going on. I get to compete in lots of different events. I'm usually competing in the calf rope and the team rope, and I'll show horse and the stock horse, and my wife's competing, all my friends are competing. So for me, I'd say, although I spent most of my time indoors, and of course it's been a very exciting thing for me to be, and a privilege to be part of, riding indoors, which most people would want to do. It's still, there's something, exciting and fun about being outside and underneath the sun and kind of where the sport really started. So, I'm a little biased between the both, but, of course, looking back at it, if you were going to, make a living out of what you're doing, of course, being inside, indoors, that's where all the money's at usually. So I'd have to probably go with indoors, but I won't forget about the outdoor ones either. So, well, we're going to finish it up there. I appreciate all you guys being on here and that watch this, and of course anyone that may be watching it later on YouTube here. It's been exciting and fun, and of course keep your eye out. Go to the Cinch Genes Facebook page and all their Twitter, and maybe tell them who you'd like to see next. Of course, there's a huge lineup of world champions and some of the best rodeo athletes and horse trainers in the world to choose from. So again, I'm Brendon Clark. I've appreciated all your time, and hopefully I answered some of your questions. And don't forget to follow Cinch on Facebook and Twitter, and of course I'm Brendon Clark 80, Brendon Clark on Twitter and Brendon Clark on Facebook. So we'll see you guys later, and I appreciate it again. Thank you.